So I want to say that we're thrilled to have Modreck with us. Some of our leaders like Jack Zeller and Sandy knew him for many years before I did, but I first met him in 2013 when we brought him to the United States for a speaking tour. And at that time, the Harare Lemba Synagogue was a dream, a gleam in his eye. We have a wonderful recording on our YouTube channel of him speaking at the 92nd Street Y, telling about the history of his community and telling about his dream to start a Harare Lemba Synagogue. He will tell you about what he's done since then and the amazing work he's done both in religious development and in agriculture and all kinds of other development and spreading his work not only in the city of Harare, but in a number of Lemba villages. He has also so impressed us that he's now a member of Kulanu's board and a very valuable one. And you know, our board meetings on Zoom are enriched by his presence. Bonnie Sussman, who's going to be our interviewer for the first part of the meeting, is our first vice president. And it would take me too long to do justice to her, to her bio. So I'll let you read it on our website under about Kulanu board and staff if you want to know more about Bonnie. But anyway, I turn it over to Bonnie and Modreck.
So thank you, Harriet. This is very exciting because on my screen it says there are 78 participants. And that's really a huge gathering to hear this exciting discussion that we're about to engage on. So Modreck, I'm going to ask you some questions and we'll move on through the questions, and I hope this will be an exciting time. After the questions after the questions that I'll ask Modreck, you'll be invited to, Molly will read questions from the audience that you submit through the chat. And after that, we'll break into groups to get to know each other a little better. How's that? So, Modreck, question number 1. Please tell us something about your Lemba roots, your beliefs and practices. Modreck, his voice is blocked. His microphone is off.
Okay, I thought I'm so sorry. Okay.
Okay, there. Hi, Modreck.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I understand we are scattered around the world, so it's good evening, good morning, and good afternoon, wherever you are. It's my pleasure to be with you now and to share with you information about my community, the Lemba community in Zimbabwe, and the Harare Lemba Synagogue. Thanks, Bunny. So the Lemba community, or the Lemba people in general, found in Zimbabwe, South Africa, and the whole of Southern Africa, are a tribe of Jews who first migrated from Judea to Yemen approximately 2,500 years ago. As an estimate, we are not sure about the dates. They stayed in Yemen, then moved because of the rise of Islam. They needed to be where they were safe from Muslims, so they crossed over into Africa. They were familiar with Africa because when they were in Yemen, they used to go to Africa to trade bracelets with minerals and ivory and other goods. So they were familiar with the Africa by then. So they fled Muslims and went into Africa, first settled in Mozambique, and then later moved into the African continent in Zimbabwe, then later all over Southern Africa, in South Africa, Mozambique, Zambia, all over.
Okay, tell us something about the ancient beliefs of the Lemba and practices, like 3 of them. How's that?
So the most prominent custom or tradition of the Lemba is circumcision. The Lemba still circumcise their boys. The tradition got to be changed as the Lemba were in Africa. One of the biggest reasons for the change was the arrival of Christianity, especially Christian missionaries. Now we no longer circumcise our boys at 8 days. They moved it to 8 years. The reason for moving it being in order to keep a secret that they were still practicing their Jewish traditions or the Lemba traditions, which Christian missionaries and Christians in general had banished. So they wanted to keep it a secret. An 8-year-old boy can keep a secret than an 8-day-old who will be birthed by other people. So that's one tradition that we practice. The other prominent is kashrut, our dietary laws. We only eat meat that has been slaughtered by a Lemba, a circumcised Lemba. We eat fish with fins and scales. We eat animals with split hooves and animals that are ruminants. We eat birds that have crops and gizzards. Those are some of our dietary laws, and they are still prominent. Even Lemba who are not Jewish or have joined other religions, you still find them still keeping our dietary laws. It's something that identifies the Lemba from other tribes. And we also observe some holidays, one of them being Rosh Chodesh or the new moon. We have a very interesting tradition of how to observe that Rosh Chodesh has started. Our ancestors used to put water in clay pots, and they used to trace or keep tag of the moon. So they would put these clay pots filled with water under the shades of trees. So this would they would look into the water to avoid looking straight at the sky, to avoid the glare of the sun, because that would blind them, and as a result would make it difficult for them to observe that the new moon had appeared. So if a person observed the new moon through looking at its reflection in the clay pot filled with water, one was mandated to go to the traditional leader or the priest in the community, and you were supposed to call 2 witnesses to witness that the new moon had appeared. And after this was confirmed by the traditional leader or the priest, then a shofar would be blown, and it will be declared a day when no one was supposed to work. It will be a holiday. So okay, those are 3 of our most prominent customs that we have retained.
Ancient today. Customs. Okay. Now, can you tell us a few words about your genetic uniqueness that hit the cover of the New York Times about 10, 12 years ago?
Thanks, Bunny. So the Lemba were tested, genetically tested, to see if we were indeed Jewish as we claimed, and as some of the customs that I told you about indicated. So what was discovered was the Lemba who were tested had in them a gene which was a haplotype, coanim haplotype, which is passed from father to son along the lines. So it indicated the Lemba had a prevalence of that gene, which was above 50%. So it indicated the tribe that was tested was the Buba clan, and it had the biggest prevalence of that gene. So it indicated they had coanim gene.
Yeah, so that's incredible to say that in one of your clans, the Kohen gene actually appears as frequently as it does among Ashkenazim and Sephardim. Okay, another question. So now let's update. We did a little bit about your past history and your past customs. Tell us something now about your community.
So this community, the community that I'm talking about, being the Harare Lemba Synagogue, was formed with a vision that we had, and it was greatly put into existence with the help of Kulanu's founding president, Dr. Jack Zeller, and Sandy leader, Kulanu's coordinator for the Lemba. So we formed this community in 2013 in May. The biggest reason why this community was formed was because of modernization. Most Lemba were traveling or migrating from their rural communities. The Lemba mostly live in the countryside, so they were coming into the cities to look for employment, to get a better education. And when they came into the cities, they were exposed to assimilation, being away from the communities they grew up in. When they came to the city, they lived whenever they find accommodation. So they were scattered all over. You don't find a suburb or a community in Harare that is predominantly Lemba. So they started marrying people who are not Lemba, and they started eating whatever they found because they couldn't find Lemba who could skira, if they were women, their meat for them to eat. So bringing together the Lemba who were scattered all over the city in Harare was one of the main reasons why this community was formed. We identified a house which is big. It is a very big room that we use as a place to hold services, to celebrate holidays. And it has since become a community center where Lemba come to meet and mingle, connect with each other, celebrate holidays, observe Shabbat services, and stuff like that. It was very difficult in the beginning because Lemba for a long time were people that had regenerated to just observing traditional customs. We were no longer with a prayer service. So most Lemba were exposed to assimilation. Most had gone to Christianity, some to Islam. So by bringing them together, we provided them with an opportunity to observe a religion of their forefathers. So initially, the biggest task was to make these people unlearn what they had learned. And also it doesn't help that in Zimbabwe, people are forced to learn Christian subjects like divinity, Bible knowledge. It's really Christianity. So the biggest thing was for them to start learning. So in 2013, we had our first ever visitors. So I'm dedicating this session to one of the first ever visitors who came to teach us, spend a month with us, teaching us. That's the late Elaine Berg, wife of Erwin Berg, who is present here, I think. They came and stayed with us, started teaching us from Aleph and Bet onward, the holidays and everything. And after them, we started having teachers who came to stay with us. Gershon from France stayed for 3 months. Sarah Eisen from New Jersey, now located in California, stayed 3 months also. And the Feinbergs came and stayed, they came twice, staying with us a month, teaching. So we have since transformed ourselves. And now a lot of people know how to lead services. We have several Shaliach Tiburim, people who can lead services. We have people who now come from this community and go to their rural communities and start teaching the elders there modern Judaism. And the biggest thing, we had many doubts when we started this. I was there and I had the responsibility to lead services. I knew nothing about leading services. I went online with the help of others who gave me help about how to lead services. It was difficult. I had no confidence in what I was doing. Now we have a crop of young people, children who were born 7 years ago. They know nothing about anything, any other religion but Judaism. So although we had doubts then, now we are very positive because we have kids who grew up in Judaism. All they know is Judaism. My daughter Maya always asks me, Daddy, is it Shabbat yet? Because that's what she knows. So the future is positive from these kids. Going forward, we are confident that we are going to grow from strength to strength. We started with 25 members. Now we have 87 members who come. They do not come all together. Some come this Shabbat and the next. Some don't come the next, but we have a membership of 87 congregants. And we are also taking Judaism to the countryside. There are more people there since we live in our communities together. So we go there to hold Pesach Seders with the help of Kulanu. And some of these Seders, we hold them as a community. More than 100 people come to celebrate Pesach Day as a community Seder. So we have come a long way, and we still have a lot to learn. We still have a lot of difficulties, a lot of challenges to overcome, but now we are more positive than ever that we will continue trying, and we hope that we will succeed.
So oh wow, that was fantastic. So basically the Lemba came into the big cities because they were and losing their traditions, right? So now they have a center, a cultural center to go to and be the hub for Jewish activities, and you expressed it so lovely. I think we're going to show some pictures, Molly. Will we have some pictures that Modreck can talk about?
So our relationship with Kulanu doesn't just involve the religious side. They also help us with community building, with community helping projects. So we got funding through Kulanu to build a dam, a concrete barrier dam, we call it a weir. So in Zimbabwe, because of climate change, we have frequent droughts. So most of the time, our livestock die because of lack of water. So this is a picture where we were building a dam so that our animals can have water throughout the year. We have a Harare synagogue choir, and one of the wonderful projects that we are doing with the help of Kulanu is introduce our own tunes into the Shabbat service. So the man with a green shirt and maroon trousers is the leader of this group. He's called Hamlet Joe, and he is a musician. He used to play rhythm guitar with one of the most prominent Zimbabwean musicians. So he is leading this project. So we are giving ourselves a distinct identity as Lemba Jews. We are embracing modern Judaism, but we are very conscious of our own identity and roots. And this is the biggest way to express and appreciate our identity, bringing these tunes that are unique to the Harare Lemba synagogues into the Shabbat service. So far, we have many songs that we sing with our own tunes. Initially, like I told you, we had many teachers, the Feinbergs, Sarah Eisen, Gershom Ndua, and many others. We learned different songs, different tunes with all these people. So if a visitor came to attend our services, they will hear a tune that is from the Portuguese world, a tune from Yemenite Jews and stuff like that. But now we have those tunes that we learned and also our own tunes. So this is a team of the builders who were building the dam in 2018. After finishing the dam was filled with water. So this is the spillway of the concrete dam. And our livestock no longer die because of lack of water. And also the biggest problem was children were the ones who were mandated to take their livestock long distances away from their home. Sometimes they had to skip school just to go to look for water for the livestock. Now they don't have to look for water because the water is just a short distance away in this dam that Kulanu helped us build. So the kids now can concentrate on schoolwork.
Okay.
The dam filled with water. Our first Rosh Hashanah that we had as a community in Harare, I learned from Saint Leader how to prepare and how to go about preparing for Rosh Hashanah, and this was our first ever Rosh Hashanah in Harare. The ladies in our congregation, the Feinbergs and Erwin, I think remembers them. They came and we learned with them. So they are some of Elaine Berg, so rest in peace, teaching our children back in 2013. That's Elaine there with a group of children learning how to read Hebrew. Gershon teaching how to do Natilati Adaim, and that's Brenda, my wife. Gershon again teaching us how to put on tefillin and how to put on talitot. After learning how to put on talitot, we paused for a photo. One of our visitors, Rabbi Keith from Jerusalem, came, and this photo was taken while we were davening Shacharit. We went to Mapakomere, our rural community, one of the rural communities that we had to prepare for Pesach there. And this was a photo of us with Rabbi Keith and one of our community leaders, Hilary Joe, praying in the morning. Our dam now filled with water. We hold community centers, like I told you, in rural areas. So this is a community center in Buera, one of the rural communities that we have. Still in Buera, Pesach Seder. The kids enjoying the Seder.
I think that's our first one. I think we've gone through it now. Okay. Okay, so I'm changing the topic a little, so you got a little feel for the community and the pictures and the religious development and economic development that Kulanu helps support in Zimbabwe and other communities around the world. We want to go to the next question and on has coronavirus affected your community in any way?
One of the biggest way coronavirus affected our community is not being able to meet together as a community, to celebrate holidays together, to Shabbat services. And this year, instead of meeting as a community, our members, we are sponsored by Kulanu to hold community centers. So now we had to send every household in our community in Harare, every household in our community in the countryside, some financial support for them to be able to hold these centers as families. So that's the saddest thing that corona virus has had on us, not being able to meet as a community. And also, we are living in fear. Since we started this community in 2013, I have never been called to officiate at a funeral. It's something that I'm very happy about, and I'm not looking forward to that. I'm nervous about that. So now I'm living. We have people who have underlying conditions. We have the elderly. The first move that we had was I told the elderly that even before the lockdown that that has been infected in Zimbabwe, that they should never use public transportation to come to the services, that they can for now stay at their homes. People with underlying health conditions, we told them even a month before the lockdowns that they should keep themselves safe and stay at home. Now it's a time, my own experiences, it's a time when I wake up and I hesitate to touch my phone for fear that there might be bad news. Literally now I know why people say no news is indeed good news. When the phone rings, you fear that maybe something has happened to one of our community members. It's not something that is good. And now, because of the lockdowns, we are an African country, one of the poorest countries in Africa. So most people most are vendors. Most people go out to earn a single dollar per day so that they can support their families. They don't have enough money to plan for a month ahead or to buy food for a month that would last them for a month. So the lockdown comes. How do people like that survive? It's really a problem. So we have people, we have nothing to eat, locked down, they can't go out to earn a living. So it's a big problem. Some people text and some people communicate with us. We have started WhatsApp groups where we monitor everybody's situation. It's a dire situation, and we hope it's something that will end sooner rather than later.
Was there a little video that we were going to show?
I was going to play one of the tunes, the Lemba the tradition. I told you that we lost our Torah when we were chased by Muslims from Yemen to Africa. And somewhere along that historical line, our Torah was destroyed by Muslims. So whenever we gather and as a community for serious meetings, we say a prayer and then we play a tune on an instrument called mbira. It's this instrument. There is a tune that we call a silent prayer. It's just the melody, no words put in it. So I am going to play you a tune from the Mbira, and my wife Brenda will join me. Initially, we had planned that I play it alone. I think it's better that we play it together. So today is also Holocaust Memorial. We need, when we play this, we need to remember all those Jews who suffered, who died because of the Nazis and Hitler in Europe. So we'll play together the Mbira.
Hello.
Thank you so much. So this song, when people are facing hardships, sometimes they do not have enough words to express their feelings, whatever will be burdening their hearts. So this is a tune that is played traditionally in those kinds of situations. God sees our thoughts, hears our prayers. So sometimes we do not need to express ourselves vocally or loudly. He knows what we are going through, and he sees whatever we will be going through. So this is a tune that is dedicated to what we are experiencing now because of coronavirus. And also it came at a very bad time for us in Zimbabwe, 2 years of drought, no food, and then coronavirus comes. It cannot be any bad.
Wow, I think, well, wow doesn't cover it really. Okay, thank you so much for that. It's hard to move on to another place because the tears are still in my eyes. Okay, so I think we're going to change the mood a little bit. And I think, Molly, I know we spoke a little bit about how Kulanu has helped your community. It brought teachers, it helped you with the dam. It's really encouraged your satyrs and your learning. And now you have a community that you can be very proud of, that stands upright in the midst of other world Jewish communities. I think there is a little video that we wanted to show you that says about your community. I'm not sure how the sound will come out on this one, but there is this little video.
The video was prepared by Sarah Eisen, who's with us today, when she was a volunteer in Zimbabwe, and she's singing a song with, Sarah, well, Sarah probably can't respond. You can respond in the chat. I think the melody may have been written by Hamlet Joe, is that correct?
Yeah.
It was? And is it Hamlet singing with Sarah?
That's Hamlet singing with Sarah Eisen.
Molly, we're not getting the sound.
Is there a voice? Yeah.
I may have to unmute Molly.
So maybe while we are resolving that, I talked about Kulanu through my speech, through some of the questions that you asked Bani, because it's really difficult to talk about the Lemba synagogue and the Lemba community in Zimbabwe without Kulanu featuring in that narrative. But besides introducing us to modern Judaism, people ask and people say, it is Kulanu, it is the rabbis that come to teach us. We introduced us to modern Judaism. And yes, it is true. But not only that, one of the biggest things that Kulanu did was make us appreciate our own identity. There was a time when some of us Lemba, especially Lemba who came to the cities or grew up in cities, were shy of being identified as Lemba for one reason or the other, because people laugh at our customs, people laugh at our traditions, and sometimes they mock us, and sometimes we are uncomfortable at identifying ourselves as Lemba. So when we started this journey that we have started, people began to appreciate that indeed they are Lemba, and we no longer are embarrassed by the customs that we follow, by our traditions, our Lemba roots, our Jewish roots. We have a deeper appreciation of who we are, thanks to Kulanu. And we have started projects in the countryside. I talked about building the weir. There's another project that we started with the help of Kulanu in 2019. We installed irrigation at a community called Beza in Buera. That's the community where I showed you photos of us holding Seder there. And the biggest objective with that project is for us to be able to produce our own food and not to always look for donor help or aid from Kulanu through its donors. So if we are able, if we are empowered to be able to produce food for us and our communities, especially in times like these, when we are faced with a 2-year-long drought without any food, then our community will be empowered. We will have what I would like to call food sovereignty, where we will have to depend on ourselves. So we faced a lot of problems with our project, but still we manage. We are looking forward to harvesting food that will enable us to distribute to 30 families so that they can have food for 2 months. We have a bigger capacity to produce more, and God willing, we'll keep on improving ourselves, learning from our mistakes, and hopefully we'll be able to produce more and more. And we have projects that we are looking forward to. We have started some of them. One of the biggest projects that we want and they haven't completed and are looking forward to complete is called a breed project. I told you we shifted circumcision from 8 days to 8 years. Now we are trying to come back to 8-day circumcision, training community more health, so that we have a more health for each community, so that we'll come back to the 8-day circumcision and do things as they were done by our ancestors long ago. So Kulanu has really, really helped us, and we can't talk of the Harare Lemba Synagogue without Kulanu. We can't talk of the Lemba in Zimbabwe without including Kulanu in that narratives, and we wouldn't be where we are without Kulanu.
Thank you so much, Modreck. And I apologize to everyone. That video had music attached. And if you want to hear some of the Lemba music and other communities who wrote beautiful melodies to Shabbat services and other services and other Jewish, you know, like songs, you can go to our website where we have a playlist from the different communities. Okay, at this point, I see that there were 27 or so questions in the chat. And Molly who collected all of the questions, will ask them. And I want to thank Molly and Joanne and Harriet and everybody else who helped produce this experience, actually. Okay, so Molly, we don't hear you. Molly.
Molly? You're not muted, but are you talking?
Molly, we can't, oh no. Okay.
Okay, so then maybe I should just try to ask the questions. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay, Molly, do you have them written in one place, or should I just go through the chat? Okay, so.
I see through the chat, okay.
Okay, so, sorry. Only Love Alston asked, I would like to ask, how are the young adult Lembas keeping the Torah culture of the Lemba alive? What do young Lemba Jews do for fun together?
We have still what I called 8-year circumcision. And these circumcisions are really cultural or rite of passage events where Lemba go into camps hidden in mountains, and they learn there things like how to slaughter animals, things like Lemba history, Lemba songs. So they are taught from those camps to keep Lemba traditions, and though that is one of the biggest source of Lemba knowledge and the source of Lemba traditions.
Next question, do you trace your roots to any particular tribe?
We do not, traditionally, we do not trace our roots to any particular tribe, but however, most Lemba, that is, especially of the Buba clan, would like to believe that they can trace their roots to the Kohanim or the Levites.
What percentage of the Lemba embrace Judaism, and where does the name Lemba come from?
Lemba is a Swahili word. It means people who are always carrying goods, or caravan people rather. I think it comes from when the Lemba were middlemen or traders carrying a lot of goods to and from Africa when they traded with Africa and taking raw materials to Yemen and the Middle East.
And the other question was, what percentage of the Lemba embrace Judaism?
I would say around 25%. Is the work that is cut out for us. We have around 50,000 Lemba in Zimbabwe and approximately 20,000 or more Lemba in South Africa. So it's not really their fault that they have aired from our traditions. They didn't have an active religion to hold on to. So it's a work that is cut out for us. It's our duty now to try to bring all those Lemba to Judaism.
The last question was from Shep Wanon, and this one is from Rabbi Abraham Coalesce Brown, our speaker on Thursday. Shalom. There have been persons in the U.S. and Caribbean that after conducting genetic DNA testing have found that they have a large percentage of Lemba DNA. What would you say to such persons who may want to learn more about that heritage?
It's something that we are pleased about. It's really possible because I told you some of the Lemba were in Mozambique, and we believe we had large groups of Lemba in Tanzania. These were areas where slave trade was really rife. So it's a big possibility that some of our tribesmen were taken to the Americas for slave trade. They can join us. We have a Facebook page, Royal Lemba Synagogue. If they want to learn about Lemba history and our tradition, it will be a pleasure for them to learn with us.
Shep asked again, have the Lemba created a CD of their music?
Come again, Harriet.
Have you created a CD of your music?
Yes, there is a CD that Hamlet and the Harare Lemba Synagogue Choir are working with Hudson Mike Stein. They produced a CD, and I understand it's being sold on Amazon. People can go and buy it there.
I think also on iTunes, probably. It's called, what is it called? Something, ancient roots and...
Ancient roots, new traditions.
Have the Lemba reached out to any of the Temane Jews to do any type of collaboration?
To date, we haven't anyone that we are working with who is a Yemenite Jew, but it will be a pleasure for us if there is anyone, because we also have Yemenite roots, so it will be a pleasure. And some of our traditions, I can tell you that we have one interesting tradition. We have locusts and crickets that we eat and that are kosher. We can identify which locust and which cricket, ground cricket, is kosher. And I understand Yemenite Jews also still have kosher crickets, and they can identify them and they can eat them. That's something that we share, and we would love to work with Yemenite Jews.
Shimon M asked, have Lemba Jews established contacts with the emerging Jewish communities in Kenya, Uganda, Ghana, or Nigeria? And do you have any relationship with established Jewish communities in Harare or in South Africa?
Yes, absolutely, especially thanks to technology and to Kulanu. We are a big family or under the Kulanu umbrella. I have a lot of people that I talk with and communicate with from the Abba Udaya. I am in contact with, and some of our members are in contact with Jews in Kasuku, in Kenya, Cameroon, and we have met some of these Jews, African Jews. I went to Israel in 2016, and some of our community members also went to Israel in last year, in 2018, and they have met these Jews. And last year we had a very interesting program called Kulanu Across the Globe. We had an opportunity to learn and share as Kulanu affiliated communities, learning from each other and about each other. And it has brought us together as Jews scattered around the world under the Kulanu umbrella.
And we were planning to have a Pan-African Jewish conference in May, and we already had a WhatsApp group of the proposed participants meeting and talking together. And unfortunately, because of the coronavirus, that had to be postponed indefinitely. Have the Lemba converted?
It's really a difficult question among the Lemba. There are some who strongly feel there's really no need for us to convert. It's a catch-22 situation. On the other hand, we still practice and observe patrilineal descent. So luckily, it's difficult to say we are still Jews, and people really are torn between converting and returning. Some of us have converted. We have left it to individuals to choose whatever they want. We have a big group in Harare and in Zimbabwe who are pro-converting, so that it becomes an opportunity to open ourselves to modern Judaism and be part of the larger Jewish world. But there are some who are not so open to converting.
Do the Lemba have any non-Lemba people in their community? If so, how do they join? This is from Dr. Blessing Ziwa, who I believe is from Zimbabwe but living in Cameroon.
Yes, we have about 8 people who come for services who are not Lemba. We have Mr. Vandermever, the oldest member in our congregation. Is white and is non-Lemba. There is a group that used to go to the synagogues in town. There are synagogues of Jews of European descent. So when they went there, they didn't get an opportunity to learn because they were not exposed to Judaism before. So it's really difficult to join people who already know a lot about Judaism and get an opportunity to learn from there. So when they heard about us, that we were learning from scratch, this was a big opportunity for them to come and start learning with us also. So they have joined us. We have embraced them, and they are part of our family. And we appreciate them. It gives us a very good diversity. It's something that we really would like to encourage. Anybody who is interested in Judaism, they can come and they can join us.
Okay, there's also 2 more questions to the same person. Do you have a local Siddur? And do you have any relationship with the Ashkenazi and Sephardic communities of Harare?
We don't have a Siddur yet. I worked on one Siddur in 2012, and we still have it, but we don't use it often. We are in the process of making another Sidua. Now that our knowledge in Judaism is growing, we have a better knowledge of how to go about assembling a Sidua. Harriet gave me a program. It's called buildasidua.com. And from that program, I compiled prayers, and I'm in the process of translating them. We want them to have Hebrew and Shona, which is the local language. The first one that I had made had Hebrew, Shona, Hebrew transliteration, and English, and it was kind of complicated. So we want to work to improve the first Sidua that we made so that we can have one that is Hebrew and Shona. And on that topic, now we also have a Lemba Agada. Let me see if I can get one. So together, working with Sandy, the leader, and with the help of Kulanu, we made the Agada. So this is the Pesach Agada that we are using now. And it has Lemba traditions, Lemba folk songs, Lemba stories, together with the mainstream Agada structure that any Jews elsewhere used. So this is the Agada that we have produced. It's a work in progress, really. Now we want to add more Lemba stories, more Lemba songs, more Lemba prayers, so it becomes something that we can identify with. I want also to work with an artist. She is Nani Lemba, but she is the first Nani Lemba to join our synagogue. She has since made Aliyah, but she's a very good artist. We want to put illustrations, interesting pictures, so that children can appreciate and enjoy the Agada. So it's still work in progress. There's still a lot of work that we need to do.
Wow, can you just hold it up to the screen? Thank you. Okay, so I just want to say it's 2:05 already. We had thought we would have an hour of this program and then break into breakout groups. I'm torn what to do. I do want to say if anyone needs to leave, we won't be offended if you have to go. And we will be putting the recording of this program, but not of the breakout groups, on our Facebook page, on our website, and you'll get a letter saying where you can find it. If you signed up by RSVPing. So can I just see a show of hands from the people who I can see? Do you want to stay with the question and answer? How many want to stay with the question and answer? How many want to go into the breakout groups and meet each other personally? Okay, we'll stay with the question and answer at least a while longer. So what's your relationship with the Ashkenazi and Sephardic community of Harare?
The relationship is not on official level, but we have individuals that we are friendly with. The stance of the Jews of European descent, actually the decision is not with them because they are also under the South African rabbinate. For now, they say they can't take us officially as members of their congregation. It's something that we are still hopeful will happen sometime. We hopefully sooner, but there is no official relationship between us and them. But we have people there whom we are friendly with. Yossi Kabli sends us children's books sometimes from their library when they will be getting new stock. So last year, he sent us children's books, and we are very appreciative of that. So it's a relationship that we want to keep on working on, and hopefully things will be better very soon.
Oh, someone asked, are you irrigating your crops? And if so, are you using the dam water?
We are irrigating our crops. We are not using the dam water. It doesn't hold a lot of water. The dam is mainly for the animals, but we have a borehole that is situated where there is a lot of underground water, and that's the source of our water, the water that we use for irrigation.
Is there some connection though between the dams and the fact that there's water for the borehole? I thought there was some way that by holding—
The connection is when it rains, the dams harness the water, so automatically it feeds into the underground aquifers. So the water levels on our borehole is now higher than before, thanks to the dams that are downstream.
Thank you.
Harriet, I suggest that we break into groups because we are now beginning to lose people. So if we want to get to meet each other, were you going to give a little
yes, thank you. Okay, so let me do that first. So before we break into groups, I just wanted to first of all thank so many of you who've been supporting Kulanu over the years. It's your donations and your support, your volunteer work, your support in so many other ways that has meant so much to all of our Kulanu communities. Kulanu has mainly been a volunteer organization with very few staff, and many of you who are here have played an important role one way or another, and your donations, of course, are an important part of that. In these challenging times when we can't be sure what turns the economy will take, your support is needed now more than ever. Each community has immediate needs, and some of these are emergency in nature. And of course, we still want to keep our very small staff going, and so that they'll be there to sustain Kulanu in the future. We want to thank you in advance for whatever you can do to ease these financial burdens. And I do want to say that there are several ways to donate. You can donate all at once. You can become one of our wonderful recurring monthly donors who sets up a recurring donation that goes on and keeps coming. And you can also, if you can't donate at all, you can also encourage others to donate, for example, by setting up a Facebook fundraiser on your Facebook page, or in other ways introducing us to people who might want to donate, or even just inviting a friend to the next speaking engagement on Thursday, or to be part of the Kulanu mailing list. So again, thank you so much. We're now going to divide into breaks.